we're very picky in the type of fish that we shoot. So when we go out, we typically see about between 100 and 300 fish, but we're only looking for one particular fish. We'll be diving for 8 hours, 16 hours, and we might get one white sea bass, and we'll see thousands of other fish. So with a white sea bass, you need to know the currents and the reef structure and the temperature and the right time of year and the moon phase, so that you know where the white sea bass are going to be. You can get, like, you can hit them with your elbow sometimes, they're that close. But mostly they're about 15 feet away from you.
Earlier this year, I shot a 50-pound white sea bass, and it took off with probably 150 feet of my line. The best thing you can do is try to get it to wrap up in the kelp to stop it from running, and as quickly as possible, so that you don't have to battle that fish as much as possible. And this one tied up at 45 feet, about 150 feet of line off my reel, and on my first drop I wasn't expecting to find the fish, but I did. And so at the end of my breath hold, I saw the fish and said, all right, every dive counts. For, you know, with this fish tied up at the bottom, you have about sometimes 15 to 20 minutes before the sharks come in on it, so it's in your best interest to get that fish out of the, you know, untied as quickly as possible. And I started cutting kelp out from underneath it, and at that point I was pretty well out of breath. I took the fish and tried to bring it to the surface, and realized that wasn't happening on that first drop, so let the fish go, and I went for the surface, and at that point realized that I was also hung up in the kelp in 3 different spots. My snorkel, my weight belt, and my knife that I wear on my ankle all had kelp wrapped around them, and I was 40 feet below looking up at the surface wondering if I was going to make that before lights out. And at that point I had my knife in my hand already and just made kind of one swoop and was able to, I broke my snorkel that was lost in the battle, and I did manage to cut the kelp in the other 2 spots, and on my way up to the surface I started seeing stars and getting dizzy at about 25 feet from the surface, started having convulsions, and by the time I broke the surface I was very numb. I'm gonna guess probably 3 to 5 seconds away from passing out. We do extensive physical training and are pretty familiar with what our limitations are with how long we can hold our breath, and that was probably the closest call I've had. It was also my personal best fish at 50 pounds. It was quite an adventure. I'm glad I won that battle, and hope that doesn't happen that close again. Once I got to the surface, I just yelled, "Fish on!" and then I got pulled under again, came up again, "I need help," got pulled under again, made it to the surface again. So it's a tug of war. I mean, you've got I gotta say, part of the allure of this sport is you're literally in a tug of war with a fish that is in its own natural environment and oftentimes more powerful than you. One of you's not gonna make it. Hopefully it's you that comes out on top.